So this is going to be a slightly different style of video. I'm going to be going on a bit of a rant in this video, but it's about a topic that I think nobody's speaking about, but it's kind of mind-blowing to me because, everybody's saying the complete opposite. And if you follow that type of advice, you're never going to be able to own a successful agency. That's basically the idea behind this video. If you follow this specific type of advice, you're never going to be able to run a successful agency. And also you're actually being very, very unethical as a business owner. So for those wondering what I'm talking about, it's the piece of advice that all these SMMA gurus tell people to implement on. And that is to not worry about delivering the service, rather just focus on selling the service and then worry about delivering those services once you've actually sold the client. This is honestly the most mind-blowing piece of advice that I've ever heard, and I've seen it happen a lot more frequently. And I've actually had a couple of agency owners just recently message me saying that this is what they're doing, this is how they're attacking things. They're not worrying about service delivery because they're just focusing on getting a client first, and then they'll worry about service delivery. And I'm sat here like, what are you doing? It's such a bad piece of advice, right? Because the reason you'll be able to run a successful agency is because, yes, you can sign clients. You've got good client acquisition methods, whether that be through Facebook ads, whether that be through organic, whatever it is. You've got good client acquisition methods, and you've got good service delivery methods, and you've got a strong team around your agency, right? They're the kind of the main pillars to a successful agency. Client acquisition obviously falls under sales. Sales obviously falls under client acquisition as well. But that's how you run a long-term successful agency. If you just focus on client acquisition, as I say, you're never going to have a successful agency because yes, you're going to be able to sign clients. Well done. But they're going to leave you 2 weeks later because you don't know how to deliver the services. Now, I'm not saying that you personally have to go ahead and deliver the services. By no means am I saying that. It's good if you understand how to deliver the services. It's not going to hurt in any way, but you can bring a team member on board who can really focus on that, right? And that's what you must do. If you focus on just getting clients and not worrying about service delivery, you're not only are you being highly unethical, and it's those types of agencies that are really, plaguing the market right now. Almost every single client that I've signed on have been burnt in the past by other agencies, right? Whether that be that they've not delivered on what they said, the way that they've been operating is just an absolute shambles, or maybe even they just they kind of sign them on board and then they sometimes they'll like ghost them, and then even when they do get into contact with them, it's like they just don't want to be there, stuff like that. Those types of agencies are the ones that plague the market. Those types of agencies are the ones that absolutely kill these e-com and info product owners. And to be honest, it's not even in the e-com niche specifically, it's probably I'm not too sure about local businesses, but I'm sure they've been burnt in the past as well. And it's because of those types of agency owners that don't care about the service delivery. The only way that you'll be able to ever scale any type of business, whether it's an agency, an e-commerce brand, a local business, whatever it is, the only way you'll be able to scale a business is by having a great product. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of other things that go into play, but if at the end of the day, if the product isn't there, if the service isn't there, meaning if it's not high quality and it's not genuinely doing what it says on the tin, right? You're only going to go so far because the word's going to get around. And it's the same thing with your agency. If you can't deliver results, then you're going to be spinning your wheels so much because you're going to have a 2-week client retention rate, a 1-month client retention rate at max, but you're never going to get that monthly recurring income. We always talk about the fact that an agency is one of the best business models to build and create because you can get pretty healthy retainers, and those retainers are on a monthly basis. So you sign one client today, that's them now for the following months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. But if you can't deliver on your service, that is non-existent. You're going to have a 1-month client retention rate. You're going to get paid once, and then you're never going to get paid from that client again because you can't deliver on the service. They're not going to keep paying you. And also, what you may also fall into the trap of is refunds, right? Because at the end of the day, if you tell a client that you're going to deliver the results for them and that you can do really well for them and all this type of stuff, you sell yourself and they buy it, but then you don't deliver on what you said that you were going to do, they're probably going to want a refund, right? So honestly, if there's one thing you take away from this video, is to rethink about how you structure your agency. Don't just focus on client acquisition. don't do it, because you're not going to have an agency, right? You're just going to be some sort of one-off salesman that sells all these people on these services, but then, as I say, you're not going to deliver on those services, right? So not only are you being unethical, but you're not actually going to be able to build a long-term sustainable business. That's the beauty of running an agency. You can sign one client today, and that's them paying you now for the next 12 months, $4,000 a month, every single month for the next 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. And then when you sign another client on board, then they pay you another $4,000, and then that's $8,000 for the next 24 months. Then you sign another $12,000 for the next 18 months, and then $20,000 for the next. That's the beauty of an agency, but that is non-existent. That's not even a talking point if you can't deliver on your service. And in full transparency, any guru that tells you to operate in this way is either never ran a successful agency or is struggling severely to build an agency that has a good long-term client roster, because, as I say, you physically cannot run an agency off the back of that type of advice. And as I mentioned, the other thing is you're genuinely being unethical. Like, you're genuinely being an unethical business owner. You need to have these things in place, because these businesses are going to be paying you a very large amount of money. They're going to be paying you a large sum of money, $3,000 every single month, $5,000 every single month. And if you can't even deliver on what you're saying, you don't know, you know, that side of your agency isn't in place, then you're being so unethical, it's ridiculous, right? And I'm not saying you specifically, I'm just saying that people in general who operate off the back of this type of advice, it's unbelievable, right? And this is why in the Quantum Agency program, I have an entire week where I lay out the exact marketing strategies that we implement for all of our clients in terms of how to structure, client ad accounts, in terms of how to actually deliver results. This is more specifically for e-com and info product brands and businesses, right? But I put so much effort into that week because it's so vital. If that isn't there, if that section of your agency isn't there, you can't build a good agency. And I know I sound like a broken record in this video, but it's just something that's really got under my skin recently. I'm probably sure you can tell this type of video, it's a bit off style from my usual ones, but it just really got under my skin recently because I've seen so many of these beginner agency owners who don't know any different. It's not their fault by any means. It's these people who they're listening to, and they're saying, don't worry about service delivery, just worry about delivering the service once you've got the client and all that type of stuff. And I'm sat here, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the worst advice ever. So guys, yeah, bit of off the cuff video. I had a Q&A call last night with the Quantum Agency students, the community, and somebody brought it up. And yeah, somebody brought it up and they were saying about, how should they kind of move forward, because they had a media buyer who wasn't delivering the results, that, it just wasn't a good fit. The media buyer wasn't a good fit. He looked really good from face value, but when he actually started working with this said media buyer, it just wasn't a good fit, and he wasn't a good team member in any way, shape or form. So we was kind of going through that, and he was like, what do you think I should do for my next client? Should I kind of just do the ads myself? And I was like, how do you feel? And he was like, I don't feel that comfortable. And I was like, dude, don't worry, that's completely fine. Obviously he knows how to run ads because he's in the Quantum Agency program, and there's that entire service delivery week solely on our exact advertising methods at Bax Consulting that we implement. But he said he just personally doesn't feel that comfortable. I was like, no worries. What you need to do is you need to focus on finding a new media buyer before you bring on a client, because that's the only way that he's going to be able to actually sustain a successful agency for a long period of time, by having the back end in place. It's so important. And as I say, a lot of these SMMA gurus who are running successful agencies, I can guarantee you they're not if they're using this type of advice. But as I say, they're always telling these beginner agency owners to sell before they worry about service delivery. And it's it's the worst piece of advice I've ever heard. And I just wanted to make sure that I do a video on it so that you guys who are watching this video, like what you need to be focusing on as a beginning agency owner. You need to get that service delivery down packed. I'm literally about to record another video that's going to be coming out before or after this video, I'm not too sure, on how to get clients, because as I say, that's another important part. There's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of important parts that need to go into running a successful agency, right? A lot of the times as well, people think that it's easy. It's very easy to run an agency, but it's not. I'll tell you, it's not. It's the easiest, hardest thing you'll ever do. It's very basic business model. It's very easy to implement on, but there's a lot of moving parts that have got to be on point in order to have a successful agency, in order to get to six figures, to multiple six figures a year. Like, guys, a lot of the time people think that, you know, oh, I'll just start an agency and I'll just get to six figures, and then, you know, from there I'll probably just, you know, go to Bali for 6 months of the year and just chill out, make six figures from my agency. And that's just because they've been sold on that dream. But in reality, it's not as easy as just reaching out to a couple clients, not having no idea how to run the ads, but, you know, the clients will pay me like 5K a month and, you know, it'll be easy. It's not like that in any way, shape or form. If you think it's like that and you're planning on running your agency in that manner, I highly recommend that you just stop and you know, go to e-com dropshipping or whatever, right? Because that's so easy as well. It's hard. There's a lot of moving parts, and one of those moving parts that has to be in place is service delivery. And as I say, I'm about to record another video here in a minute in terms of client acquisition, and that's another thing that needs to be on point. But don't implement on that video on how to get e-com clients if you don't have the back end sorted out. Whether it's yourself, you may be a good media buyer yourself. You know, a student as well, a new student enrolled into the Quantum Agency program, and he was on the call last night as well, and he's an amazing media buyer. He's been spending 30 to 40K a day at his current job. I actually didn't ask what business it was, but yeah, his current job is spending $30,000 to $40,000 a day on media buying. So he, you know, in his situation, he just needs to focus on client acquisition because he knows that he's got it down packed. Like, he's going to get a media buyer on board, but if he gets a client tomorrow or next week, which is very likely with the methods we cover, he's going to be fine because he knows how to run the ads himself. So that's what I mean. If you know how to run your ads yourself, then you can run it for your first couple clients. You don't have to bring a media buyer on board. But then on the flip side, if you don't know how to run the ads yourself, how to get good results yourself, that's okay as well, because you can bring a media buyer on board and then you've got that side down packed. You just need to make sure, however you want to go about it, you've got your service delivery down packed. That's the main message of this video. And yeah, any of these SMMA gurus who tell you otherwise, who tell you to sell clients and then worry about service delivery later, I severely recommend that you don't listen to them, because they are not practicing what they preach. I can guarantee you it. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it opened your eyes to realizing that service delivery is vital to running a successful agency. Different type of video. Apologize if I came off as a bit angry. I kind of am, to be honest. It annoys me when I see this type of stuff. But as I say, hopefully you are able to get your service delivery down packed, because that's going to be the basis of you being able to run a successful agency. So with that being said, I will see you in the next video.